Yes, this should be quite fun indeed.
Today we will be talking about Beatdown Fists of Vengeance, a third-person action RPG beat'em up made by Cavia and published by Capcom. If my memory is right, it was the first on what I like to call the trinity of beat'em ups of the time. It received mostly mixed reviews by critics, but between players it's one of these games that you either love it or hate it. The game begins by you choosing your character. You have the choice of 5 protagonists: Aaron, Gina, Jason G, Lola, and Raven. They all go through the same story with some difference in cutscenes here and there. After choosing your character and passing the little tutorial, you go to jail, escape, and then get a total free roam of the city. The story progresses by going to the Hole, your base of operations so to speak, and talking to Marvin and Tracy, who will give you information on your next objective, which consists of beating, recruiting, or interrogating other gang members to then receiving an update to fight the boss of the chapter. Each character has special cutscenes with some bosses or between chapters, 4 different endings, and finish the game leads to a New Game Plus, which promotes playing with another character. Each chapter also has side missions, which you can get from Melvin or Joker in the music shop, with the game containing 50 side missions in total, not all of them playable in one playthrough because some depends on gender, character played, if you're on New Game Plus, etc. They consist of a variety of busy work, with some stories sprinkled within, be it beating people up in the streets, fighting a tournament or 1v1 battle, or carrying a bomb from one side of the map to another without getting hit, or else instant game over. You can totally ignore these missions, but if you want to partake in the game's most fun and main mechanic, you must do some to earn the money. So, did you see those 2 symbols up there? The star is the police and the skull is the mafia. They define how aggressive those 2 will be when you appear near them, and their thugs roam the streets. If any of them reaches 100%, the mafia will start attacking you every time they see you, and the police will stop your travels to try and arrest you. And how do you raise those numbers? They will rise every time you walk near one of them, but the police have a special condition to raise to 100%. And that is giving a beatdown, which I'll get to later. But then, how do you lower them? By fashion, of course, and plastic surgeries. Throughout the districts you'll find some clothing stores, which you can use to buy a variety of clothes, a salon to change your hair and hair color, and a hospital to do the surgeries, all with no gender restriction. How progressive. And you will need the money to keep doing surgeries and buying new clothes, hairstyles and tattoos, or else you'll be harassed all the time. It's a game main loop. You fight, you raise those percentage, you do a side mission, help people up, gain money, buy clothes, surgeries, hairstyle, repeat. I would say, it holds well for the time you play. It's pretty entertaining how many different and crazy ways you can dress up. But what about the fighting? Isn't that the main point of the game? Beatdown Fists? Yes, and it's pretty junky, but it can be fun. You fight in 2 ways. The classic beat'em up on the open or 1v1 battles, which are reserved for the bosses or recruitable gangsters. The beat'em up mode is bad. The camera can be all over the place, your combos don't work most of the time, the lock-on is automatic, making you miss the hits because the lock-on has changed all of a sudden, and so on. But you can do cool stuff like this. Amazing. But sadly, it's pretty rare. You can enter these beat'em up fights at any time after challenging any of the nameless NPCs or being spotted by the mafia or police. After defeating the enemies, you can loot them for money or items. Throughout the story you'll be finding a lot like this. Now, the 1v1 battles work like a 3D fighting game, kinda like Tekken, not so good as. And the arenas you fight, if you can even call them that, are whatever you initiate the encounter. be it on the train track, some bridge, or the corner of the street, you fight there, which changes the dynamics of the fight. You don't want to be your back to the wall, be near the streets to be rammed by a car, or on the edge of the bridge to be thrown off. It's absolutely satisfying to do. Look at that. Amazing. Not amazing when you are the one being thrown off. The fight will go on till you defeat the enemy or all your characters lose, but if your recruits lose, they will be removed from the party and go to the hospital, even if you win the fight. You then need to pay for the recovery or wait some time till they are back up and available. Also, always remember to heal after fights, but don't drink too much or at all, or you have to deal with this blurry mess for some time. Each character also has a fighting style, divided in Grappler, Boxer, Kickboxer, Juggler, Negotiator, Strider, Knuckle Master, and Weapon Master, with the main 5 along with the bosses and some special characters having unique movesets. Each class or character also has some unique moves with specific weapons. The game contains 80 different characters to recruit, each with their own personality, fighting style, wallet, and XP bar. You can talk to some of them and either try to directly recruit them or interrogate. Both can fail and lead to a fight. Some appear only on certain chapters, missions, or districts, so always be sure to recruit everyone you want before ending a mission or advancing the story. So, while you are fighting, you have your health bar, your allies, and pride, the fire bar. You can use healing items, weapons such as knives, bats, guns, and whatever during the fight, but it falls from your hand if you get knocked down, allowing the enemy to take it or vice versa. It has combos and special moves reserved for the main 5, some which you need to learn with Marvin or other NPCs. Pride works as a means of prompting a special menu during the fight. You lower it simply by hitting the opponent, and if it gets to 0, you can hold the enemy and do a series of actions such as Recruit. Makes the enemy join you. They can get added to the party immediately or be on the call for when you need him, her. You can change them at every moment you want. Just call them and they will tell where to meet them. After being there, just talk to them and change your party. Rob makes you get money for them. And believe me, you need the money as it makes the game feel a lot better and to get the better ending. More on that later. It can be a little or huge amount, it varies by the character robbed. Interrogation will prompt a tip to show up on your screen. Sometimes it's story related, but most of the time it's some random game tip, like how to use weapons or that you can lower your wanted rating by changing clothes. Useless most of the time. Cancel. We'll just go out of the menu. Beatdown. Oh yeah, that. Let's talk about it. It's the name of the game, so it must be pretty important, right? Not really. Giving a beatdown makes your character viciously beat the enemy, killing him and making him disappear forever for that save, with the bonus of also making the police rating quickly rise to 100%. I used this mostly on NPCs that kept beating me or randomly when I felt like it. Besides that, there is no further use. But you also can be the victim of a beatdown. If your life reaches 0 and you have no pride meter, you have to beg for your life. If you refuse, you get a beatdown and an instant game over. If you beg, you get transported to the hospital and get some debuffs that you need surgery or medicine to go away. After every fight you gain XP, which increases your level, letting you upgrade on the following stats. Stamina, which will make your life and pride meter bigger. Attack, which make all your moves and weapons do more damage. And Technique, which will increase the durability of weapons and helps the character learn new attacks. Now let's get into the story. What is the context to all this fighting? You are a gang member. You are betrayed and now you must take revenge. Simple, yet effective as a premise. There is nothing more to the story than this, so enjoy what is given. There are some cutscenes and a lot of text to read. The cutscenes are pretty run-of-the-mill and direct to the point. Voice acting is serviceable, I think. and sometimes great in a funny way. My favorite got to be Raven is his edginess. You can tell this game is from 2006. Look at this.
I know that, Thomas. I just want to know how the hell this happened.
Characters are stereotypes or plain boring. Also, for some reason they thought adding blur was cool because there's blur in every cutscene. It gets old pretty quickly. So, as I said earlier, you begin by choosing between 5 members of Zanetti gang, one of the many on the seat of Las Sombras, that after witnessing the murder of some drug dealers get set up by their own gang and now have to flee the police and other gangs so you can have your revenge against Zanetti. The story is divided in 7 chapters and can be completed in a day sitting. I finished it in about 7 to 8 hours. You go around the map beating people up until you get the prompt to fight the boss, which you do every single chapter. I think the tutorial is part of chapter 1, but I would say it really begins when you get jailed by Chester, the detective, and have to escape. Just punch the door and Wendell will come to dispense some police brutality. Beat him, then punch the wall repeatedly, and you're free to roam the city as you wish. Chapter 2 is all about learning how to properly use the system. Getting clothes, getting missions, fighting on 1v1, and that stuff. The objectives on these chapters is to beat or recruit 5 cents and then confronting the leader of Fatima Cent, Fatima, a katana wielding American dressed in a biker dominatrix way gang leader. She can be pretty tough if you're underleveled, as her katana does a lot of damage. After that, you begin chapter 3. You have to save your recruits from an assassin. He will be taunting you during scenes. After you save 5 of them, you fight Ignacy, an Italian Wolverine on the subway. He's quick both on moves and on his attacks. Chapter 4 follows the same path as chapter 2. You go around finding people that work for Eugene, this chapter boss, until you come to the last one and get to fight him 1v1. It's pretty easy, brings up a knife and that's all. I think chapter 5 is one of the longest on the game. You have to destroy a drug factory. First, getting a bomb, then beating up some coward that know the location of the factory. For some reason you get the bomb from the hairdresser. Funny that. Get that, go through a long beaten up segment, and I mean a long beaten up segment through the fabric. To fight Gregorio. He's a tank, his health pool is enormous, and he has some special moves that can two-shot some characters. From this point onward you can pretty much rush to the ending. Chapter 6 you have to fight Zanetti personal doctor Quincy, so you can find his location. Quincy takes some time because of his health pool, but he's pretty easy. Run up to the tower and beat Zanetti, only to discover that he was not the one pulling the strings. It was the chief of police, Wallace, all this time. Dun dun dun. Plot twists. Zanetti is old, but no pushover. Be careful. Now, the final chapter. All the emotions. You get to return to the hole only to find everyone dead. Tracy will give you an emotional exposition dump and sadly die. The detective from the first chapter appear again, and now you must join forces to defeat Wallace. The run to the station is gruesome, so many beaten up sections with a lot of cops, some using guns so you get shot without even seeing where it came from. Anyway, you get Wallace, he tries to persuade you to join him, of course it doesn't work, and you beat him up. You won't go down so easily as he has a lot of health and pulls up a shotgun. Okay, so now that you beat the final boss, you get one of 4 endings depending on some factors. Between chapters you see some bars, and always be giving a rank based on certain aspects. Cash flow, the easiest to increase, the more money you get and spend, the bigger the score. There's no way to decrease it. To make it increase a lot, you have to steal a lot of money from bystander and rob NPCs. Leadership. This one increase as you recruit more gang members and battle using them. The catch is that it also goes down every time one of them gets defeated and goes to the hospital, or they abandon. Best way to increase it is to recruit everyone you see. And charisma. This one is strange and confusing. As far as I know, this one increases when you threaten, rob, or kill NPCs. Also, it decreases when you get beaten in fights. You get a rank from Caesar all the way to Godfather, which awards the best ending. It goes like this: made little money, recruits almost no one, lost lot of fights, bad ending, which has no unique dialogue. Made some money, recruit some people, lost some fights, neutral ending, which also has no unique dialogue. Made a lot of money, recruit a lot of people, lost almost no fights, good ending. Chester will show up to kill Wallace, say how you started it all and to make you choose between drugs or money. He will take whichever you don't choose. Has a unique dialogue for both the drug or money choices. Now, to get the best ending, you have to achieve Godfather status, which means having all 3 bars totally maxed. Chester will also show up to kill Wallace, say how he started it all and to make you choose between money or drugs, but this time you want both, and so you'll have to fight Chester for it, making him the final secret boss. After that you will achieve the best ending. Beyond that you have a versus mode, with all the characters available, with their moves already unlocked. You have to unlock some bosses from the story modes if you want to play as them. If you enjoy the fighting system, that's just more of the same fun for you. And that's the game. It's clunky, but it's fun. Worth of at least 2 playthroughs, I would say. Sadly, as this game was not a success, I guess my dream of seeing Raven in Marvel vs Capcom one day is never going to be realized. I don't even know if Capcom remembered this game. I would guess not. But, oh well. Thanks for watching, and if you can leave a like, a comment or subscribe, I'd be grateful. I'll try to do some videos from time to time talking about other games that I like. I think a lot of them will be games that almost no one heard about or almost no one's remember, but just for fun. See ya.